Welcome to IG Network, where we go around the globe giving you the latest in the world of news. It is news for people, by people. We are coming live to you from Pretoria in Gauteng, to be precisely, where we are covering a breaking story that is coming out of South Africa. It is the news that are coming out that are going to be shared with a number of countries around the African continent. We are coming live to you from Union Buildings in Pretoria. We're just going to go down now in the gardens where the press conference is going to be taking place, and we will share more with you going forward.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you also from the support that was received from all the tribes in South Africa, from all the kingdoms, and from common people across South Africa and also Africa and the world indeed, to come together and to agree just one thing, is that we will rectify what is wrong in our country and in the world by just working together. Nothing more, nothing less. Amen. And as such, it has come a long road to come to this point where we address not only the people of South Africa, but also the people of the world on the ills of the world and the criminality that is behind it. And I just want to explain for the majority of the people the basic concept. There's basically two systems of law, or two systems of beliefs. The one is perpetual war that has plagued the globe for centuries, been perpetrated amongst the people and against the people of the world by a specific financial cabal, who is by far the minority in the world, but who dominates, and by design dominates, the financial systems of the world, the legal systems of the world, the legislature of the world, and also the executives of the world by corrupt practices. And therefore, we have come to the position where we are now announcing the activation of an international constitutional tribunal for world peace that is long overdue in the world, and is already in conversations since, I believe, before 1920, the First World War, but was every time, I would say, hijacked by this criminal cabal to facilitate their system of perpetual war, to enslave mankind, to steal all the assets of the world and the wealth, and by keeping the whole world in debt, keep them in slavery forever. Thank you so much. And I hand over to my good friend, and I'm saying my good friend because at one stage in our life we were fierce enemies.
I think it was Nelson Mandela in his Rwanda trial who said there comes a time to each and every nation where there are only two choices: submit or fight. This is now the time to join hands and choose the latter concept of perpetual peace. Activation of International Constitutional Tribunal for the World Peace as an international legal process which was impeded with by criminals' action of international crime syndicates and thrown within the government of South Africa and the other government for centuries. B, the structure and operating of International Constitutional Tribunal for World Peace and the actions to be taken within law by International Constitutional Peace. International Constitutional Tribunal for World Peace is legally established in terms of national, international, and foreign legislation based on Immanuel Kant. Perpetual Peace Second Supplement, which made provisions for the establishment of such tribunal. The International Peace Association Perpetual Peace Project, launched in 2008, was already completed in South Africa. On the 15th of December 1978, codenamed Project Camara, for both South Africa and Namibia. The need for international peace and security, long-standing, was voiced by many sovereign states, with the Dumbarton Oaks Conference, the Washington Convention, and many more that followed, with proposal for establishment of general international organization, with the understanding that the Big Four, which is the United States, United Kingdom, USSR by then, which is Russia today, and the Republic of China, would take the lead, supported by the delegates from other nations participating in consideration and formulation of Immanuel Kant's perpetual peace principles. The deep state operators, or the eminent persons group, enthroned as lobbyists in governments, caused coercion process with undisclosed interest, resulting in the formulation of the United Nations, away from the Immanuel Kant's peace principle. This undisclosed interest is best demonstrated by the Land Lease Agreement, formulated by Bernard Mames Baruch on the 19th of August 1870 to the 20th June 1965. An American financial broker, A.A. Huntsman and Company, E.A. Pierce and Company, stock investor, political consultant, advisor to Woodrow Wilson, Franklin Roosevelt on economics, close friend of Sir Winston Churchill, and known as the Lone Wolf of Wall Street, who was in control of the War Office in the Second World War, against the will of the people of the United States of America. The League of Nations proceeded with the formulation of the United Nations as the first worldwide international government organization whose principal mission was to maintain world peace. Founded on the 10th of January 1920, followed the the Paris Peace Process Conference and the end of the First World War. The 46664, I repeat, all of you will associate this number with the Nelson Mandela number, 46664. Philosophy for world peace, unity in diversity, was illegally misused to alter the South African Constitution to benefit of the War Office objective, to the detriment of all citizens of South Africa and the world. The narrative that former President Zuma was the mastermind of the weapons scandal has no truth in it, because it was agreed prior to 1994 and conditioned to power transfer by the Troika of the Vatican Bank, Bank of Ambrosia, the Vatican, London, Westminster, and Washington, D.C., which do not form part of Italy. The Britain or the United States of America, respectively, but representing the invisible criminal gang illegally enthroned via private security intelligence agencies and secret societies into each government of the world. Coming to the number 46646, the first four of the 466 depict the secret number of the wisdom of Solomon. Solomon's secret number of individual is the most important entity. That is one of the secrets of Solomon. Individual, as individuals, were the most important entity, not government, not state, not systems. The first six preliminary articles of Immanuel Kant's Perpetual Peace, as it was not negotiable. The founding statement of the League of Nations, the physical. First, it states, no treaty of peace shall be held valid in which there is tacitly reserved matter for future war. I repeat, no treaty of peace shall be held valid in which there is tacitly reserved matter for future war. 2. No independent state, large or small, shall come under the dominion of another state by inheritance, exchange, purchase, or donation. Again, no independent state, large or small, shall come under the dominion of another state by inheritance, exchange, purchase, or donation. 3. Standing armies, miles perpetuus, shall in time be totally abolished. 4. National debt shall not be contracted with a view to the external friction of the state. National debt shall not be constructed with a view to the external friction of the state. Lastly, 6. No state shall during war permit such acts of hostility which make mutual confidence in the subsequent peace impossible. Such are the employment of assassins, poisoners, breach of capitulation of incitement to treason in the opposing state. I repeat, no state shall during war permit shall act a hostility which would make mutual confidence in the subsequent peace impossible, such as are the employment of assassins, poisoners, breach of capitulation, and the incitement to treason in the opposing state. The second 6. The 6 hidden arguments, principle in the religious document for the world peace logic. The third 6 is the 6 levels of subversion, creativity. The last 4, the 4 levels of cultural structure, individual direct family, the individual's direct family, the society, and the community. Coming to the structure B. The structure of operation of International Constitutional Tribunal for World Peace. As a result of continued subjection of all citizens of South Africa to a variety of fraud, theft, and the constant push to excite perpetual war in South Africa. Annexure 1, by the lobbyist group present in and around the government, both locally and internationally. Various action was initiated by all the diverse groups to cut to the bone of the obvious constant instigation for perpetual war propagated away from the social contract promise and agreed to the citizen prior to the transfer of power of 1994, which a visible agenda being pushed since the Dakar conference, where representatives of various groupings agreed to excel war on its citizens, which was or is or continued after power transformation in 1994 by security/intelligence agencies and around government. That resulted to 2 processes that were followed initially independently from one another. 1, the legal establishment of the ICT, International Constitutional Tribunal for World Peace, in January 2014 after due process was followed. As a result of continued subjection of all citizens of South Africa to a variety of fraud, theft, and the constant push to excite perpetual war in South Africa, Annexure 1, by the lobbyist group present in and around the government, both locally and internationally. Various action was initiated by all the diverse groups to cut to the bone of the obvious constant instigation for perpetual war propagated away from the social contract promise and agreed to the citizen prior to the transfer of power of 1994, which a visible agenda being pushed since the Dakar conference, where representatives of various groupings agreed to excel war on its citizen, which was or is or continued after power transformation in 1994 by security/intelligence agencies and around government. That resulted to two processes that were followed initially independently from one another. One, the legal establishment of the ICT, International Constitutional Tribunal for World Peace, in January 2014, after due process was followed. The objective was to remove the human slavery clause illegally introduced to the Constitution, and the practice ever since by the representative criminal gang in the government, the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive. B, which is universal adult suffrage, national common vote roll, regular elections, and a multi-party system of democratic government to ensure accountability, responsiveness, and openness. We follow the progress. The several laws were amended: menticide, domestic genocide. Section 12 of the Constitutional of South Africa Act 108 of 1996 read, some reinstated and others repealed, that is still illegally in use. The laws that unduly protected the pharmaceutical industry, extortion of public, was repealed and are still used. The ignoring of the first people's right. As a result of illegal alteration of manipulation of the Constitution, it does not comply with the principles of Immanuel Kant's perpetual peace principle, as it was designed for. Therefore, the Constitution is in conflict with the International Criminal Court principles of human rights, legislation, as well as the Nuremberg Statutes and the United Nations Human Rights Declaration. 5. The international addressability of the Constitution of South Africa was tested by design by the former President Jacob Zuma, and the International Criminal Court confirmed its standing internationally. The testing action of President Zuma was immediately opposed by the Jewish Board of Directors via the application from the Democratic Alliance. 5. The Prevention of the Combating of Corrupt Activities Act 12 of 2004 prohibits any person who received public funds from promoting additional gratification for themselves, of which the political CR17 campaign debacle is an obvious contravention of the Bosasa incident, the IMF loan that disappeared without a prosecution, Zondo Commission partially and refusal of hearing the real state capture, the participation in ousting of the President Muammar Gaddafi, the trillions of Asian African Wealth Fund, which is attached, embezzled by the organized criminal gang in the government, security intelligence agencies earmarking for African infrastructure development, and which is continuing with despite formal confirmation instruction to bring the money into the ledger for the benefit of the citizen of the countries and the many more. The weapon or the arms deal scandal was planned through the British takeover of the South African armaments industry, mainly the BAE, as well as several planned legislations to provide for a deliberate capital flight from South Africa as an economic attack on the sovereignty of South Africa. Dividends, exemptions from tax, which see large portions of company profits being declared as dividends and repatriated abroad, seriously limiting the capital availability of economy of South Africa. Section 223 to 225 of the Constitution of South Africa, Act 108 of 1996, which repealed the South African Reserve Bank Act 90 of 1989. All the commercial banks of South Africa Reserve Bank, in terms of Monetary Reform Act 1 of 2014, requires that in terms of Section 3 to have 100% reserved for the currency in circulation, and Section 4 retires national and international debt. The restoration of taxes paid locally and internationally. Orders were issued during 2014 requiring the submission of the reasons to be submitted within a reasonable time of 90 days if any reason existed not to execute the said orders. The administrators failed to supply any reason to date and has opted to waive the opportunity to do so, activating the default judgment with immediate effect. Section 5.3, Promotion of Just Administration Act 3 of 2000 as amended. Act 33, Just Administration Act. Everyone has the right to administrative action that is lawful, reasonable, and procedurally fair. 7. The Prevention and Combating of Corruption Activities. Act 12 of 2004. All officials are jointly and severally liable, including all company officials, ministers, judges, stocks exchangers, state-owned enterprises, media, etc., are subject to prosecution for 5 times the gratification illegally obtained from implementation of South African and Namibian Constitution. Section 34, access to the courts. Everyone has a right to have any dispute that can be resolved by the application of law, decided in a fair public hearing before a court or, where appropriate, another independent, impartial tribunal or forum. Subsection 2. Through various interventions to assist thousands of prejudiced citizens, legal special powers of attorneys was presented by majority of representatives of the communities, tribal leaders, and kingdoms to correct the ills pertaining to the dysfunctional institution judicial systems. Legislators' inability to protect the interests of citizens and unlimited rights awarded to the international organized crimes syndicate operating as corporation which masquerade ideas as government. The total failure of South African government to protect the interests of its citizens, who illegally agreed to reduction in the population of South Africa by signing the United Nations Agenda 21 into a binding agreement with the early 90s, committing themselves to predetermined murder, and as such, sanctioned by the Kissinger Report to depopulate Africa, report of 1972, to give preferential selection policy promulgation rights in the government structure of South Africa to Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation as majority shareholder of World Health Organization and CDC, private companies to depopulate Africa with vaccine, and to order the state pathology department not to conduct postmortems, represent nothing else as defeating an obstruction of justice and protection of mass murders and genocide. In addition, the COVID-19 pandemic, I repeat, the COVID-19 pandemic was publicly announced during February 1959, which nullifies all possible claims of pandemic propagated by the politicians and the WHO claims to be medical expert, but who is not capable of distinguishing fact from fiction or greed. Act 38, Enforcement of Rights. Enforcement of rights. Anyone listed in this section has the right to approach a competent court, alleging that a right in the Bill of Rights has been infringed or threatened, and the court may grant appropriate relief, including a declaration of rights. The person who may approach a court are anyone acting in their own interests. 2, anyone on behalf of another person who cannot act in their own name. 3, anyone acting as a member of or in the interest of a group or class of person. 4, anyone acting in the public interest, and an association acting in the interest of its members. That is enforcement right 38. Actions to be taken by law by the International ICT, International Constitutional Tribunal for World Peace. An International Constitutional Tribunal for World Peace have been assembled, which members has no political, religious or secret agenda, save to award the citizens of South Africa, Namibia and the world their rights which are entitled to in terms of national, international and foreign law. As per the international law and the international relations, the members of the tribunal are accepting from all citizen and criminal prosecution as of international protected person. 3, the civil claims emanating from the transgression listed will be served first, after which the criminal prosecution will commence. 4, on public announcement of the International Constitutional Tribunal for World Peace, the respondent will have 10 working days to comply. I repeat, on the public announcement of International Constitutional Tribunal for World Peace, the respondent will have 10 working days to comply starting from today. In failure to comply, the relevant officials must vacate the offices and the premises, and in failing to do so, the rights of the citizen to protect themselves will take preference. The safety of the nation is the highest right. The safety of the nation is the highest right. Salus populia supremo lex. That's Latin.
We are committed to a legal process, which is pronounced today, and was also the whole process was established legally, both with national, international and foreign law. So, and you'll also find that some of the laws that was repealed, some of them was reinstated, and one of them on this is the death penalty for treason and mass murder. I can show you in the document. It's not only them, we have done it ourselves through many of the corrupt practices that has taken place. And it was even some of this was acknowledged by official letters from the National Prosecuting Authority, who is not fulfilling their function. Now, also the principle in law applies whenever a law or an office of state doesn't fulfill its function, it becomes functus officio. So we will have then the right to remove them from the offices peacefully. And I can assure you that we have got huge support as I said previously, at least 85% from all the tribes, from all the people in South Africa, who has fed up with this criminal gang.
One more question. What is going to happen now with the judiciary? Because we do have a judiciary here in South Africa. What's going to happen?
Well, let me put it to you this way. I myself was in one stage in my life deceived by this criminal gang. So now is there a Rubicon moment to make the decision whether they're going to do what is right or whether the people is going to do what is right. Because the people are the custodians of the laws, not the government, and not the judiciary, and not the National Prosecuting Authority. We will be in contact with the media, and we will ask you to avail your contact details to Ambassador MacArthur, the Ambassador for Africa Diaspora, who will coordinate all the inquiries.